Hi everyone, welcome to Fisher's Shop. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to build this box. Now, I know what you're thinking, yay, he builds a box, but stick with me here, because it's not an ordinary box. It's a trick box. See, once you drop the lid down onto the box like that, you can't remove it. It's locked, okay? So no matter how you tilt or turn or twist this box, you can't get this lid off unless you know the secret. You want to know the secret? Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to watch the video to find out what it is. All right, let's get busy building. So for this project, I'm going to be using some white oak hardwood flooring scraps. And these are tongue and groove, and each one of them also has these 3 ridges on the bottom of each of the boards. So I need that to be smooth. So I get out my planer, and I'm planing that side so it's perfectly smooth. And to mitigate snipe, I just kind of feed the pieces in back to back. And once I've reached the desired thickness, take it over to the table saw, and then I cut off the tongue on one side and then flip it over, and then I cut off the groove. So next I can bring them over to my miter saw, and I can cut out all 4 sides to their desired dimensions. With that done, I adjust the depth of cut on my table saw, and using my crosscut sled, I can start to cut out the rabbets for the lap joints. And this is just a series of many kerf width cuts on all 4 pieces. The sides only get 2 rabbets, but the front and the back they get 4. So gluing up a lap joint box is actually really easy. The glue only goes on the side pieces, and everything pretty much just snaps together. They tend to hold square a lot better than, say, like a mitered box at 45 degrees. And yeah, just a couple clamps and you're good to go. So I grab a combination square just to verify things, and we look good. So here I'm back at the miter saw, trying to sneak up on just the right fit for the bottom piece. And it looks like I got it. Next, I'm cutting some small blocks that are going to be used for the locking bars to slide into. Now, originally I had this plan to drill the holes for the bars to slide in, but after trying multiple techniques here, I just couldn't get exactly center, and I couldn't get the holes to be perfectly straight. So I abandoned this idea, and I went with a different idea that I had. So this other idea is to use a kerf width on the table saw. So here I am trying to slide one of the little locking bars into the kerf width, and it's just a little tight. It won't move. So I nudge the fence over just a hair and run it over again and remove just enough material where those bars slide perfectly down there. So once I had this, I could cut off a couple strips that have that kerf channel cut into them, and then I can flip them over and cut off the top. Then using the top piece that I'm cutting off, that can be glued on to the other side, and there I have it, a sealed channel for my locking bars to slide in. So you got to be real careful not to have any glue squeeze out on the inside, because it'd be very, very difficult to clean out. But once I had these glued up, I just put on a couple spring clamps, and then once they're dry, I test them both and make sure that they're working good, and they are. So now I'm cutting the nails. I just cut the tips and the heads off the nails with my angle grinder, and these are just coated sinker nails. But since they're coated, some of the drips have dried in a way where they form ridges, and the nails won't slide all that well in the little kerf channels that we made. So after a thorough sanding, that's not a problem anymore. Using those nails now, I can measure on the locking blocks to see exactly where they need to be cut. So here I am cutting them into thirds all at once on the bandsaw. Now I take the center ones, put those in the vise, and I countersink the holes, because I figured it would be nice if the locking bars had a little ramp to get up through there. And here I am testing the mechanism, and it seems to be working just fine. So now with it thoroughly tested, I can spread a little bit of glue on the first locking block and glue that into place. Now once I make it flush with the rabbet, then I can measure with the center block and the other block to make sure that I have enough room and everything is lined up, and then I can glue in the second one the exact same way. Now I drop in the top gently flip the whole box over, lay it upside down, and I can glue the middle locking block onto the top. Now with both of them glued in, I test the functionality, and once it's good, I put a couple shims in there to push apart the bars so that I can gingerly drop out the top and put that aside to dry. Now that that's drying, I can put my attention towards making the lid. So I grab another piece of hardwood flooring and I cut off the tongue and the groove. With this cut off, I grab a piece of rough sawn walnut and I kind of resaw that on the table saw so that I can get a nice piece that I can cut into a couple strips that I can put on either side of the lid, just as a kind of decoration. So once I have these, I take these over for glue up. I find just the right spot to glue them on, and that's exactly what I do. So using a couple culling boards there, I clamp those in so everything stays nice and flat, and then clamp up the top to dry. Now it's time for me to make the handle. So here I am cleaning up another piece of walnut, cutting it widthwise and height, and once I have that done, I take it over to the router table, and with a few passes I put a nice chamfer on the bottom, and that's just for your fingertips to grab. Now the lid is dry, so I can mark where it needs to be cut. I do that over at the miter saw. And now it's ready to be fastened down to the top. So I spread a bunch of glue on the top and then put the lid right down on top of it. And then again, very carefully, flip the entire thing over without the pins moving and then line it up. And now once I'm happy with where it is, I can gently remove the box and then do any final tweaks and adjustments I need to do and then clamp it up. And then I grab the box and bring it over, and using my table saw and my spline jig, I can start cutting for splines. I grab a piece of 1/8 inch thick walnut that I cut, and I can start drawing out my little triangles for my splines, and then I head on over to the bandsaw and I cut a whole bunch of little triangles. With all them cut, it's just a matter of gluing them up and sticking them in. Pretty easy. At this point, the top, or the lid, is dry, but there's some glue squeeze out that needs to be chipped off. And it's very important to do this because if there's anything that jeopardizes how flush that the lid sits onto the box, it can really mess up the locking system. So here we're measuring to cut the lid to its final dimensions. And now the splines are dry, so we can bring those over to the belt sander and sand those flush as well. Now, finally, I can glue in the very bottom piece. I've been scared to do this the whole time because I didn't want to get locked out of my own box. But now we're good. So the bottom goes in, and now the handle gets glued onto the top. And I made a few subtle marks so I know where to put it side to side, and then front to back I use a set of calipers to get the distance just right. And then I put that off to the side to dry. Once it's dry, I grab my block plane and I soften the edges just by giving it a subtle chamfer. Everything gets a final sanding, and I brought this up to 220, and once that was finished, I could set up some cardboard screens and put on 3 coats of spray lacquer, and this will give it a nice gloss and a little bit of protection, and it darkens up that walnut real nice. So the last thing I do is I use some spray adhesive onto a piece of brown felt, and I press the box down on top of that, and then I use a sharp utility knife to just trim off the excess, and once I do this, it's done. Okay, so now with it completed, let's take a closer look and see how it functions. With the slightest tilt, we can see these locking bars slide down both ways. Man, it really doesn't take much to get them to slide out. So let's put the top on and see just how easily it locks. We slide that on, and now listen for the nails to drop. There they go. Sure enough, it's locked. And to open it, takes a little centrifugal force. Just like that. That is too cool. What do you guys think? Alright, well there you have it. Didn't that turn out cool? Hey, if you'd like to try building it yourself, I'm going to give away these plans for free. I designed it in SketchUp, so in the video description I'll leave a link to my SketchUp project file. If you don't have SketchUp, well, then I recommend you get SketchUp. It's free and there's lots of tutorials out there to teach you how to use it. But if you don't want to get it, I'll leave a link to several two-dimensional files that should get the job done. Alright, so hey, if this is your first time here, be sure to click that like and leave me a comment and be sure to subscribe, okay? We'd love to have you part of the Fisher Shop family, and we will see you next time. Alright, take care. Bye-bye. Well, you're going to have to watch the video to see what it is. Alright, let's get building. That was good, except I got a stinking email right while I was filming. But if you don't want to get SketchUp, I'll put a couple two-dimensional drawings. Wow. I'm pretty dumb. Oh crap! I set it on fire again. Hey, if you'd like to try building it yourself, wow, that was horrible. Holy crap! Well, that scared the ever-living crap out of me. Well, I guess this belt is shot. Be sure to click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you as part of the Fisher Shop family, and we will see you here next time. All right, be sure to like and comment and all that crap too that I forgot to say because I'm completely stupid sometimes.